Hey there, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we're talking with local experts to learn how we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. So let's work together and keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come by remembering to protect what we pursue. Cooler temps have fish on the move, and our expert guides are helping us stay tight with those target species we love to chase. So let's hear who's making the show possible, and then jump into the reports. Listen up. AFTCO has a promotional gift for all Great Days Outdoors Podcast Network listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For those cold, wet, or windy days, I especially enjoy my weatherproof fabric barricade jacket, as well as my helm insulated fishing gloves. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779 345 2918. You'll get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. Turn your dock into more than just a place to park your boat with Slipski's Dorado Oasis cover. Engineered for both beauty and protection, the Dorado Oasis transforms your dock into a shaded, all-weather living space, perfect for relaxing by the water or entertaining friends. Built from marine-grade aluminum and premium fabric, it also provides year-round protection from sun, rain, and debris. Whether you're lounging dockside or keeping your boat covered and ready to go, Slipski delivers comfort, convenience, and peace of mind. Slipski, think outside the boathouse. Visit slipski.com. All right, you guys. I'm excited to jump into the show this week because we've got a couple of fun things to talk about. We got some actual fishing finally going on here, despite all these recent cold weeks. We've got some education. We're going to get educated on a few things that are important to understand about our fishery, our regulations, things that you want to be aware of, things we want to shine the light on. And then we got a fire sale, something really exciting. So I want to welcome back to the show Captain Bill Pappas playing Hooky Charters. How are we doing, Captain Bill?
Hey man, welcome aboard Playing Hooky Charters. How are you today, Luke?
Doing good, man. I'm glad that it's not freezing temperatures anymore. Whenever it gets below freezing and people start talking about saltwater freezing on boats, I always go back to that video that you posted that went insanely viral, the Ice Baby, and you had the big 80 wide completely iced over, man. That was insane to look at.
Yeah, that was a fun time, man. Me and Kyle Ship and a guy and a couple buddies went out there and gave it a go. It happened again to us recently. We went out there and had some freeze happen to us, man. But I thought at least we got a couple bluefins in the deal, so it's come some seemed to be worth it.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious what the freeze point of saltwater is versus freshwater.
One's 30. We know one's 32, and I think it's 30, maybe 29ish.
Yep, I'm Googling it now. You said, what do you think it is?
30 to 29.
29? Yeah, it's 28.4 for saltwater.
There you
So
go.
30. So that's a 4-degree difference. So, I mean, if it's freezing on your boat, that means it's sub 28. That is cold.
That's a good
Cold.
thing to know. That's a good thing to know. Yeah, because we had it on the rails pretty good one day too, and on the sides. But you got to be careful of that. That'll make the boat dare sideways. Hey, I got a quick little one for you. Did you know we went to Oregon Inlet on Monday on
No, I
out of
didn't.
Virginia Beach?
I did not.
Yeah, we ran all the way 78 miles off of Oregon Inlet
Wow. To
on
catch a
a on a
tuna?
on a on a on a suicide mission for trying to catch a tuna. We had to hug the beach the whole way down there. It took us 3.5 hours, almost four. By the time
Wow.
we made it down there with the wind blowing us down there, and then we slid off to the beach and got to the warm water, and the warm patch out there was the 40s in the 40s still. So as soon as we got to where we wanted to go, thankfully we were by this wreck called the Carolina. This
Uh-huh.
big wreck off. It was probably 10 miles straight off Oregon Inlet, and it was birds and bombing away, and we saw a couple tails come out. We saw a couple fish fin, and we went through it. We went around it. We had these young guys from Sandbridge, and they were pumped up, and we never got a bite, man. We went through it and went around it.
No.
Yeah, we did not have a bite. Had a long ride back, but you know what? It was a fun time, man. Russ had wanted to take these guys fishing, and he knows them from the pier, and we went gung ho for him, man. We went all the way for him, man. And the cool part about that is my boat. We literally ran all those miles was 170 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Burn 112, only 112 gallons, and then we didn't refuel because we were going Seabass the next day. And the next day we went Seabass, and we had to go further than we thought we were gonna go,
Oh
and
no.
still pulled it all off
On the
with
same tank
under
of
on the
gas?
same tank of gas, man.
That's
We went,
insane, dude.
yeah,
Two
I was
major offshore
two
excursions.
super big excursions. And I was like, all right, man, this thing can hold some fuel and runs pretty good. It's pretty trustworthy. It works pretty well.
There's no doubt about that, man. And I'm curious because I learned I learned that there is a difference between what your total gallons in your tank is versus your usable gallons. So I'm
Yes,
curious.
okay. I can tell you all about that.
Yeah, give
Here's
us
the
some
factors.
education for those of us that don't know so we don't ever get stranded.
In the bottom of your fuel tank, if they're metal and they're long, or if they're metal and they're not, but there's most of them, they all have baffles. Now, what baffles are, guys, listen, they take another extra giant strap. We're looking at a belt like your dad smacked you with, but it was twice that big or three times that big,
Yep.
and they put a belt in the middle of the tank, and again, so if it's long, they put three of them in there, they put two of them in there, but they space them out evenly. Now, what these giant things do is they make compartments for the fuel. That way your fuel doesn't slosh back and forth. Because if your fuel, and you have, look, we have 235 gallon, a 38 gallon tank. This is a great point, Luke. We have a 238 gallon tank. Now, to start with, we can only get 225 gallons in there, around
Okay.
220 to 225, because the air, the angle, everything else ain't going to let you just pack it to the
Right.
very brim of this soda bottle. You don't have a soda bottle you're filling from the sink.
Correct.
So you're gonna not get a full tank to begin with. Then the other part about the baffles in the bottom is those are put in there so when your boat has got, because gas weighs 6 pounds, milk is water's 9, and the other one's milk's 11. Okay, so gas weighs 6 pounds per gallon.
Right.
And that means you have at 100 gallons, you have 600 pounds. At
Right.
200, you have 1,200 pounds. Can you imagine that sloshing forward or sloshing
Oh,
back?
you would
I
feel
mean,
that in a heartbeat. Yeah.
yeah, well, it can control the rock or the boat or sway or it can literally shovel you in face first into a wave. And what is it called? Stuff the bow.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, you got the baffles in there, and you got a guy, David Doonan. What up? Doonan gives build our tank for us, or our other one before on our old boat. We had it replaced on the 25.
Yeah.
But the new ones just got it came with the biggest. I was like, give me the biggest one you got. But yeah,
Right.
you're not going to get all the gallons in there, you think. And just so you know, for I'm not a professional, but I like to run a lot. Well, it's my
Clearly.
job, so I guess that's
Yeah.
my job. But the bottom line is, I like to count my 225 to 220 gallons that I can put in the boat as 200.
Of usable.
Just
Okay.
just in my brain,
Right.
I just put 200 in. I just figure everything's there and everything else is going to be over. So every so often when I get back and I burn like 80 or 88 or 87, I'll put in 90. I round up and I put in the extra 3 here, the extra 4 there, the extra 5
Yeah.
there. And by the time you take an offshore trip, most times you're going to go ahead and plug that thing to the brim anyway, almost till it
Right.
clicks. Because that's just
Yeah.
how it goes.
Yep.
You're trying to stuff her down, and you're gonna figure it out right then that you had way more in there than you thought. And you still don't want to know what that number was, because you never want to know what your reserve is. You just want to know you have one without knowing you have one, just knowing you have
Correct.
one.
Correct. And
Yep.
in your experience, do you trust the fuel sending gauge or the
Man,
Yamaha burn? Which do you place more equity in terms of the trust level for how much fuel remains?
I know the fuel count on the Yamaha is beautiful,
Yeah.
because, and here's why that is, because it's got an actual meter next to it and somehow in there to count the clicks of gas going by. That is a determinant factor that it's gonna give you that number.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's another thing people can know, and what we use is when you don't trust your sending unit or your stuff, you just literally have to write it down or know exactly where you're at and keep the right numbers in there, because you don't want to guess it and not have gas. Get out there and run out of gas like Matt and I
Yep.
have done.
I think we've all done something dumb with our boats at some point. I mean, I had to call Towboat US or Seato one time because I thought I was broken down, and they showed up just to let me know that my, shifting throttle was my throttle control was not in neutral. And I'm like, oh my gosh, But I'm like brand new. It's like my second time using the boat. What do you know? You know?
Man, I got a quick story then for you. It's a funny one. Me and Matt, this is way back with the Key West out at the tower. It's just him and I with the four sides of curtains on this thing, and we ran out of gas, and we were mad because we didn't have a good catch yet. So we were trying to throw the we
Oh
were trying to
boy.
throw the anchor. We were dragging the anchor while we called Byron up to come get us.
Good old
And while
Byron.
Byron's coming to come get us, we're dragging anchor, just trying to hook anything we can and try to see if we can. We had no way of reversing back, and it's already blowing. It started to pick up. It's probably blowing 15, almost 20. It's starting to thump, and we're doing. I was thinking later, I was like, I'm so glad we didn't catch. We would have never got our anchor back. We'd have never got back on the wreck. And I don't know
Right.
what we were just thinking the wrong way. But eventually, we pulled the anchor in. So the point of this is Byron's coming from Lesnar. And I start mapping him out on the thing, and I'm seeing where he's coming from in my brain. He tells me how long it's going to take him to get to the boat and then get to us. And I was like, Matt, all right, Matt. I was like, I want you to open that curtain and close that one right there. All right. And I was like, all right. Dun, 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 dun. I had us sailing up to 7 miles an hour, dude. I was coming down 4-foot swells. Dun, dun, dun. I covered 5 miles or 6 miles. I sailed to Byron before he got to
Using
me,
your
dude.
curtains?
Using my curtains, I sailed to him, dude, from the tower to the dame,
Oh
halfway to
my
the. I was,
gosh.
dude, I was halfway to Cape Henry, dude. I was like, yo, I'm right off Ramada, bro. You got me? Oh, I sailed to him, dude. Dude,
Oh my
Matt was
gosh.
like, I've seen it all now, bro. You were up to 7 miles an hour doing 7 knots, cruising. I had that thing curling in from the tower all the way past the channel across the
That's
sea.
insane.
I was like, yo, he's like, dude, how did you get to me, man? That
You're
was
like, I
cool,
went
man.
full Christopher Columbus
And then
and
he
here
brought,
I am.
and then he gave me gas, and we were out.
That is amazing. So, okay, so real quick, so back to that usable amount. What is the mechanical reason for that? So if you're saying that you have a 238 gallon tank,
Right.
you feel like you can put
You can only get
physically about
225.
225 in it, but you're in your mind usable is 200.
Yep.
Why isn't that other 25 usable, or at what point is that not usable from a mechanic's perspective? Like what actually happens inside the tank that means after a certain point you're not accessing.
They think you're supposed to leave 3/4 of a tank to not let your tank corrode and all these other different things. But for me personally, it depends if I'm toting the boat or not, if I
Right,
leave that tank empty or not. But for me, that extra 25 is just I leave it so it's out of mind. So
right.
it's not something that in case you make a mistake, you've got an extra checking account to cover that check that you
Got
busted
it.
on, or your savings account.
Got
They
it.
can dip into that.
Right, a little
You know what I mean?
forgiveness there for you, and then also
Yeah.
the fuel sending unit that actually goes down and pulls up the fuel. It's not like it's tight to the bottom either. So like if you're picturing that big long tank and that whatever it is, 1 inch mark or 3/4 inch mark, where like below a certain mark it can't suck fuel up anymore effectively. That total surface area covered in fuel is going to probably equal 8, 9, 10 gallons or whatever it is that you can't actually suck up into
Yeah,
your
but
fuel into your
yeah,
system.
a great thing to know is to have your boat level and cruising in the inlet or something, or even at the dock and do your fuel. But always the way you do it, try to do it consistently the same time. Just know that when you're hauling ass, you're not getting the same because you have your boat up in the air. Your boat's up in the air. You're sending
Ah,
you. It's going to flood, and it's going to tell you got more than you do.
got it.
And you keep that as a good tip. That's right there. That's the valuable tip of the day right there. Because he'll tell you got more than you do. You should want to really know. Pull the boat out of gear, slow down. Because sometimes you can't pull it out of gear. You'll get wobbled and
Right.
make everybody puke. But
Right.
you just keep the boat at a good speed, even in bigger waves, and you just want to see a flatter time. You know
Read
what I
out.
mean?
Read
Yeah.
out.
Because somehow those things really are. They don't go up and down too quick. You're not watching your fuel go up and down with the waves. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Because they got a system to it, and
Yeah.
it's a good way of doing it is writing it down, or you're having your numbers, or trusting your gauge. And if you have a good fresh gauge, you're in there.
Yeah. Definitely something to pay close attention to and make a priority to understand about your vessel, whether your vessel has an active working send unit, whether you're looking at your Yamaha, your Suzuki gauges, your actual burn. Pay attention to it, know it, especially in the wintertime, because it can become a major safety factor. Running out of fuel in the middle of summer and waiting for Byron, yeah, maybe toss a Coors Light and just wait and enjoy it. But when it's 25 degrees outside, being out there for an extended period of time could actually become a health hazard. So, um,
Yeah.
great tips.
Unless you're making cookies in the cabin, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, okay, we got to talk about this because every time I see when it's really cold outside, I actually showed my buddy Butch I was just hunting with. I was like, dude, look at what this guy does with his buddy heater. He turns it into a little grill to warm up his
Oh my
cookies
god.
and his Chick-fil-A sandwiches. I mean,
Chick-fil-A. I mean, I brought Russ some soup one day. I was like, yo, Russ. I come running
I
out the
saw
back.
that.
I
I
hooked him up
saw
with some
that.
soup,
Hot soup.
hot
Uh,
soup, dude. He was
I
like, what do you
mean,
want? What is going on? I was like, all right, soup, cool, man. He
that
was
was
stoked.
awesome. Where did that idea? I mean, obviously, you're never short of ideas, clearly. You're like the
Oh my
MacGyver of the
God.
ocean. First it's like, oh, I'm going to turn the boat into a sailboat
Well,
using curtains. What sparked, pun intended, the idea to stick a grill on top of the buddy heater?
it really was 5 years or 15 years ago when the Buddy Heater, whenever it came out, Matt and I had one on that Key West, and I would take cans of soup before we realized the plastic in the cans weren't good to heat up, and we would take the chunky cans and skin them of the label, and put them on the thing. So we'd be out there and you'd be cold and you get a can of soup that's almost hot, like real hot, and you put it in your hands or gloves or something around it till it cools up. Then you use it to cool your hands and you crack it open and you just drink that sucker. And we drink the cans of soup and we put them on that buddy heater. And then sometimes before that I'd put the cookies on it. And then I think a Sterling, God, I wish I knew his name right this second. Man, he's one of my buddies. Anyway, he told me from up north. He was like, "Hey, man, they sell a grill for that thing." And this is me
You're
and Matt.
like,
Look, so before that, look, this is the truth. Me and Matt before that, because I'd take tinfoil before I figured out tinfoil was bad to cook with. We'd take tinfoil and we'd take these Hawaiian chickens and we'd make this huge pack and slap it over the top of the grill all the way over the heat, and we'd flip it over and we'd do that with that ham macaroni and cheese casserole. Like we had little things that we would cook like and stink the whole boat up. Like, oh, you'd be like, what? And even on charters, they were like, what do you got, a sushi restaurant in there? Or you cooking Korean food? Like,
oh
man,
my
what's going on?
gosh.
Yeah, we stink the joint up, man.
You're
Like
like,
there's
welcome to Nobu Offshore.
yeah, and then now with this grill, man, we've done the cookies come out great, the Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Oh, we do our subs and we do our oh man, it's like everything just not what do you want? What do you not want toasted up when it's cold as
Oh my
crap
gosh.
outside?
Yeah.
Come into a little toast, stink the
There's no
cabinet up like bread's
substitutes.
burning. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like a hot dog. Like if in the middle of like, a day, it's like, hey, what do you want for lunch? A hot dog? Like, no, I don't really want a hot dog. But you're on a golf course, it's like
Oh
boom, hot
yeah,
dog is perfect. So like when you're on a fishing boat and some
man.
some piece of food can be elevated in some way, it just goes to a whole other level. Like,
We used to call it biscuits and gravy. It was
ah,
almost like mom had biscuits and gravy going, and you just had that feeling of home. And then all you had to do was like you said, put one breadcrumb on there, and all the ocean and all the other everything else. You're like, oh yeah, someone's got some food in the oven.
yeah.
It's like
That's yeah. And especially if
mighty
it's like a
slow.
slow day, it's like you
Oh
have a moment where you get to taste something good and warm. It's like,
yeah. Oh
okay,
man.
all is well in the world. You look around. I mean, this is probably TMI for the pod, but I'm just gonna go ahead and share this story. I told my buddy the other day, we were sitting in a tree stand and it was early in the morning and the coffee was doing the coffee thing to your insides, and we started talking about like what's our contingency plan if one of us really has a bathroom emergency. And next thing you know, we're talking about times that we've, had to take a dump on a boat. And
Oh
I was
man.
like, man, one of the best ones ever was, morning of a cobia tournament, made the mistake of spicy wings the night before, spicy wing revenge. And it's like all of a sudden you're just there and it's like just you, the bucket, and the sunrise. And it's like, man, this is great. And then here's the best part. I didn't realize what I was getting into. And I was like, oh no, toilet paper. But you know what's better than toilet paper on a boat? A saltwater washdown bidet.
Man.
And I'll tell you what, that will change your perspective on a great experience taking a dump on a boat.
Until a wave hits just right and gives you a little tickle on your pads, and you're like, ah.
On your pots. Oh man, the folks that are listening right now that have never had to take a dump on a boat, they're like, "What are these
What are you
idiots talking
talking
about?"
about?
But
In the
everybody else
water,
that's
there's
ever
that
had to,
little
they're like,
that
"Yep,
little cartoon where
been
it's like,
there."
you run this,
All
goes
right,
up
we
there
got
to the
we got to we got to reel ourselves back in. We're
yes,
getting
pull this
so
one
far
back
off track.
above the
So
board here.
Okay, so talk us through you guys, here it is, what, almost middle of February, which February is already a short month, but you guys have finally been able to get out there and go bassing, sea bassing to be specific. So tell us about the last couple sea bass trips. Like what has the fishery been like? What are the conditions been like trying to get out there? And what's the bite been like?
Well, I gotta tell you, the waves have been a pain in the butt, and the forecast guy. I mean, they all want to fire the guy, but I tell you what, I mean, I look at the same stuff from the same GFSs they're making theirs on, and it's been tough lately. Usually, you got 3 days or 5 days you can make a forecast in the summer, even 6 to 7. You can like, all right, that looks pretty good from that far with a high pressure system. But right now, well, and this is my belief with these modified systems that we threw these two snowstorms on us out of nowhere. That
Yeah,
it made it very hard. It made it very hard to predict. It would look like one day was a good day, and it looked like some days were just not just not going to be good days. It ended up being a good day, and you only had like a day to book the trip. So,
right.
booking the trips. You book a trip last second, nobody else goes. You're the only boat out there. You don't know what's heading out to you, and you make your way out there and you start hitting wrecks. And you're catching fish. You're not seeing nowhere near as many sharks as you have. And with this cold weather, I'm
Hmm.
talking marking fish and not getting the bite as you have in years past. And this is not due to the fish not that there's a lack of fish or the fish aren't in our area anymore. It's just the fact that it's gotten so cold. And I went out on a full moon. We went out on full moons that you're really having to work to get these fish. Now these guys, are coming back with great catches and even catches some tog as well. And that's good. That's good for them. We don't run that combo trip because we're just trying to concentrate on the bass, and some of the spots we go to, they're not going to be holding the tog. And the tog obviously want a lot more
Mm,
structure, and the
right.
structure means hangs, and without a spot lock button on a boat like some of the boats have, which is great for them, you're going to be breaking off all your tackle. So we have to choose wrecks that are more accommodating to guests
Right.
have never fished, guests have fished a lot, and guests that and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good fishing going on out there, and there's a lot of guys working real hard for their catches, and we're definitely included in that. And the bite, I'd say the bite, it's been tough with the cold. I'm gonna say it right there, just like that. That's a good hint on what it's been like.
Yeah.
It's been really tough with this cold, the way it snaps so hard down. The bite hasn't been what it's been close as it's been for a while. You just pick away and pick away to get your catch going. It's not like drop and swing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you talk about cold, like the cold water, is it like every other saltwater species, like speckled trout and this, that, and the other, where when the water gets colder, the fish just kind of slow down and they're a little bit more calorie conscious of what they'll actually go after?
Man, I swear to God, I picture them just sitting down there, fanning their fins back and forth, just staring at the bait and not doing anything. Because I've gotten videos from underwater, years and years of it, just like they're just sitting there looking at your bait, and some days they're smacking. I mean, you're having hundreds and hundreds of fish around. You can just see everywhere on the camera, and they're just not chewing. They're and you're
That's
the people
so
drifting
weird.
and jigging the rig and all that looks really funny. You're just like, man, this is wild compared to them, when they are eating or when they're chewing full blast and stuff like that. Because you'll see them come look at
Right.
the camera and not eat it, just stare at that real quick and you're in the same way. But then again, you've seen days where they'll come right to the camera and they'll look at it for a few seconds and just smack it right every single time. They're not, and not even once. They'll smack it a few times and like hit it, like try to eat it. Like they just don't.
That's
Yeah.
so
The
bizarre,
bite
man.
changes like that, and the visibility and the clouds, but I'll tell you this here, what your question was a perfect question. I believe, and this is only my personal belief, that 46 to 56 is a perfect number for tautog. 50,
Okay.
46 and below makes it tough. Now, I've also had undercurrents, and I don't know if people talk about it or they've scientifically studied them or not, but I've been out there before and brought up sinkers that were 35, 36 degrees off the bottom when the temperature wasn't that high up on the machine. The temperatures in the 50s or 40 somethings, and you bring your sinker up and shoot it with the gun, and it's cold. It's a freezing sinker almost.
So hold on a
Yeah,
second.
that's
You have a temperature gun on the
well.
boat?
Come on, man. You gotta have a temperature gun.
I did not know
Well,
that. That's very interesting.
the
You just let out a major little aha moment for those that'll actually go
yeah.
out and do the work. They're like, okay, my
Well,
bottom
my
machine could
daughter
tell me
got
that
sick one
it's
time, and I was
this.
tired of the thermometer, and I blasted her with that, and then I was like, you know what? And then it ended up we haven't have it. We use it for the COVID, but the real reason the temperature gun's on there.
Is to test the bottom
No,
temperature.
it was because
No?
temperature gauge on the fish finder got smacked at one of the boat places that were working on my place. They smacked it and they cracked it open and got water in it where it wouldn't take the temperature no more accurately. It
Oh
was reading
no.
crazy temperature. So you're going out to go tuna fish and all of a sudden you see 86 degrees. You're like, oh my God, it's 86. Drop them. And you put your hand in the water like, whoa, it ain't 86.
It's
And
more
then you're
like
in trouble. So
68.
then what do? You bring the temperature gun, and as you get
Smart.
further and further out, you're like, all right, bing, 64, bing, 65, bing, 67. All right, get them out, boys. And you get them over. And you're like, all right,
That's
bing,
awesome.
70, boom,
Uh,
71, bing. And you bing all day long, just
it's
shooting the water, dude. Like
it's right up there with the curtain
yeah.
sailboat and
And
the
then,
Mr.
and
Buddy
then, and
grill.
guess who knows how temperature the sinker is, because they didn't know what temperature the water was without using that either. Yeah.
I
All
love it.
right.
I
So
love
there,
it. That's pretty
yeah, it's
amazing.
pretty one equals two on that one, man. But yeah, that's what you want.
Oh, for sure. That's brilliant though. I mean, the fact that you thought to do that, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good tip if you're fish finder, you don't have the money for the new sounder, or you don't have time to replace, or you're in the water, you're in a pickle,
Right.
and you need to find your
Right.
offshore water temp, and you blast it with that thing. You blast
Yep,
it right out
for
the
sure.
window while you're
So
running.
you picture the sea bass and even the tautog sitting there just kind of finning back and forth like you were saying. So in terms of like talk me through like is there any difference in the tackle that you're using in the summertime for sea bass versus when it's really cold? Like different rod and reel
This is
or
what I can
no?
give you. Another nugget is this is only if you have access to it, but if you can go crabbing this time of year, which nobody usually can,
Right.
but you can try if you can get a handle on some crab, and you put that a couple of them on a rig, you can make a stubborn set of fish that don't want to eat the squid, eat the crab. They'll eat the crab, and you'll catch some really
Got
nice
it.
ones.
Got it.
So
And that's sea bass and
that's sea
tautog or
bass.
just
Oh,
tautog?
tautog only eat crab. I've seen them eat squid a bunch of times when we weren't fishing for them. They eat it too.
Interesting.
But yeah, yeah.
So you'll get sea bass to eat a
Oh yeah,
crab, but they'll leave the squid alone. And I wonder, like from like a sort of perceived calorie perspective, like would you say that they look at the crab cluster and perceive that to be a more, sustainable meal, and
that's
they're
that
like, okay, we'll
smell.
go
It's
out
that smell. It reminds them. Yeah, it reminds
smell.
them just
Okay,
like a crab leg getting snapped, and we just snapped them open on the boat. Most people use them when they're alive and
got it,
fresh. I mean, even frozen, that works well. But if they got some meat in them, you got to make sure they got meat in them. You don't want no air balls out there. But you
got
put
it.
them.
Air
Yeah, man,
balls.
you get some. You know what I'm talking about. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. You look inside and it's just shell. And I go,
Man,
well, that's not
I
gonna
remember going
work.
to a restaurant back in the day, being like, "What are these?" And you get like a whole two
Yeah.
dozen of air
Oh yeah.
balls, and you're like, "Ah,
Pro tip for anybody listening, because I had this conversation with my coworker recently, because she was like, "Man, I really want to take my daughter to Crab Lakes for her birthday, and we're looking at like Captain George's and some other places, and nothing against these places. I mean, they serve great, meals. Problem is that the prices can sometimes be pretty tough, especially if you're like forced to pay like 30 something dollars for a kid to eat crab legs. Well, go sniff out some of these sushi buffets that they just happen to throw the crab legs out there, and you can go in there with a kid for like 10.99, and boom, they can have all the crab legs they want.
where's
Anyways,
that?
there's your pro
Where's
tip.
that?"
Yukai Buffet down there in Hilltop. But anyway, it's not going to be your 10 and up of paleo snow crabs like you would get from Sam Russ Seafood, but it's going to make a kid happy. That's the bottom line, and it's not going to be a bunch of air balls either. Um, but back to the sea bass. So the smell is what gets them going with those crabs, is what you're saying.
And the sea bass already when as many and thousands as we caught over the years, they spit up crabs when they get on the boat. They'll barf. They'll shoot a crab
Interesting.
right up. And you know what? 90% of everybody on the boat does. They hook that crab right back on their hook and drop it right back down. That's how it goes, man. Yeah, because those
Interesting.
crabs will come up soft as long as they've been sucking on them. You know, they wait for a while and then they finally hatch it down. They sit there and rattle
Wow.
that thing around in their crushers for at least a while. And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll actually come out and they'll still be alive. The crab will be still alive in their mouth. So they already
No
like,
way.
yeah, that one of their foods is crab. That's why their meat's so white. It's just because one of those they eat just the right
It's
things.
their
Yeah, they eat
primary.
just the right things to
Yeah.
make their meat sweet, just like the tautog.
That makes total sense. So, in terms of the currents out there right now and the weights that you're having to use, does that differ much from the summertime? Like, what's going on out there right now in terms of your currents and how much weight you're having to use to get down and hold the bottom?
The truth is you can almost hold with any weight as long as you're drifting at the same speed that you're going at, but that just doesn't mean much to most people. I like using an 8 ounce, like a charter boat special. I like the 8 ounce
Okay.
just as a solid go-to. And then I like to go a little heavier once I get over 100 feet. If I know I'm going to be fishing in deeper than 150, then I snap on a 10. Or then if I get
Yeah.
deeper than that, I like if I'm in you know, 290 to 350. I like to use a 20 ounce. And then we get a little deeper than that for the deep drops, and you're going to use bigger stuff, like, up to a pound. I've used 4 pounds for swordfish and 10 pounds, and
Yeah.
10-pound
Yeah.
sinkers are nuts. So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's fun.
Uh, and can be tough to like feel a bite if you're not used to it, because that's a lot of sinker down there, before the hook. And then do you change it up at all in terms of like size of your hook or leader size? Do you do anything different in the summertime? Like what does that setup look like
No,
right now? Your hook
that's a
size, your
great question
leader?
because I had a charter up from Philly and they were pretty pumped on the. We liked your web page, we liked all your stuff, we liked your fishing. We want to go sea bass fishing with you in the summer. And I said, well, listen, I'm going to tell you the first thing I always tell everybody. I tell the truth, and the truth is we don't catch our limit in the summer for sea bass. The sea bass bite is way slower inshore. They move offshore to the colder water. And beyond that, there's so many other things to catch that there's not a limit of sea bass waiting out there to line the docks. You don't see sea bass smacked all over the docks in the summer, and there's a reason for it. Now I told him, I was like, I can
Gotcha.
take you deep dropping and we can go deep dropping, get you some goldens, get you some rosies, get you some blue line tiles, and mix it in with some sea bass that are really giant. But we're not gonna, you're not
Right.
gonna be, we're not. And some boats can, and some boats do, but you're not gonna be going for your limit of sea bass. I mean, I'm good on them that do that, but it's just a certain amount you're
Right.
going to catch during the day, and you're still going to put a whole bunch of weight of fish on the boat on the dock, and that's your effort and your goal. So it's like there
Got
you're
it.
going to go, and it's just not going to be the same for that sea bass bite in the summer you're looking for, and that's the worst thing is when they're using the sea bass numbers to pay back in the summer.
Right.
They want
Right.
you to pay it back in the
Yeah.
summer, and there's not really much to pay back 'cause no one's really fishing for them.
No, that makes total sense. And then, hook size, does it matter much right now, or do you use about the same?
You're not straightening much hooks unless you got a guy over horsing it and fighting them. But we like the threes.
The
Yeah,
threes.
that's
Okay.
what we
Got
go.
it. And that's J or circle?
Depends on the charter. Depends on the captain. Depends on
Okay.
the fish. I like using circles myself. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing to do.
Man, well, I think I speak for several folks that have just been itching to get out there and fish. So I pray that the good Lord will let some of these calmer south winds blow and we can see things just kind of lay out a little bit so that all the working boats like yourself and so many others can actually get out there and do their job and make some money. And then for the wreck guys, hopefully get out there and make a memory with their kid or friend or something
And
along
make
those lines.
dinner.
So
That's the best part.
that's
See, because
that's
we
right.
had a walk on that only booked what three people or two people, maybe it was three. And we went. I brought
Right.
Matt. You remember the old mate playing hooky Matt came out, and we call him
Hmm.
Home Depot on your podcast. We gave the story.
That's
We
right.
brought Home Depot, and me and Russ, we went out there and we all got our limit. We all had our fish, man. So I got mine at the house, right? My limit's already in the freezer. Well, it's missing about 2 or 3 packs already. There.
Uh-oh.
I've already dipped in.
Uh-oh.
I ate it twice this week in a row. I had soy bass and then I had the panko. I'm going to talk to Kinders about that, about getting that cookbook going, see what they want to do. Maybe they'll get in on it or something because I use a lot of their stuff anyway. So we'll see. I'm going to
Oh
have to
yeah.
do that.
Good old Kinders. I think if anybody is interested, go back and search for the episode where there's a bill, there's a way. Because in that episode we go over your beautiful coconut sea bass recipe, which
Oh
is
man,
absolutely killer. I know that myself and others have made it and just been like, oh my gosh, this is one of the best ways to do sea bass.
yeah, that coconut, man. It's like a coconut shrimp, but it just doesn't quit giving. It's like, it's like you used to salty and dipping it to make it spicy, but to have it sweet some nights, oh man.
Oh,
It's like if
dude.
you get the chance, and I only do it if you're crazy enough, but you get golden grams. Yeah. You crush up the golden grams.
The
You
cereal.
crush up golden grams.
Oh,
I didn't stutter, just come up with it. You don't me and LB tried it, and they're pretty sweet, you know what I mean? I tried
that's
cornflakes,
awesome.
a fail. It was terrible.
Golden
Uh-uh.
grams. Golden grams, they've got like the cinnamon sugar
No
swirl.
cinnamon, no sugar.
No,
Just all
sir.
it's the
Okay,
honey
the
ones.
golden
It's golden
grams.
grams.
The honey. Okay,
Honey
that's
ones.
right.
Yeah, they're
Honey,
honey
that's
ones.
right. I'm thinking of
Damn,
cinnamon
look at
toast
I gotta
crunch.
order those when I get off the phone because those are delicious. I haven't had them in a minute.
The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. What you need are the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. So make the choice that captains all up and down the East Coast make and choose Hilton's Real Time Navigator. The easy to use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine grade aluminum with a protective anti corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Dock. Check out the full collection at killerdock.com today. So, okay, let's shift the boat into neutral, slide over to the dock, and let's sit on the dock and have a little educational conversation. So, I want to put on the hat of the guy that's, maybe new to this, maybe been doing it a long time. And, we go out, we have fun, we buy our recreational fishing license, and we really don't understand the nuts and bolts of like what goes into making fishing regulations. So sea bass is obviously a precious resource, especially to the guys working. Just I want to go in like kind of high level and then we'll dig into a couple particular things. But this February sea bass season is unique. It's something you went and fought for at the VMRC Council on behalf of everybody. You spoke. Um, So just help us understand at a high level, what is the different layers of hierarchy when it comes to the governing bodies that make fishing regulations? Let's start there. So what's like the nearest lowest level leading up to the level that actually makes the rules?
Well, that's a great question. I'll just explain it as simply as possible, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Here's what I got to
All
tell
right.
you is you got to go back a few years. You got to only go back about 6 years. At the most, it'd be six, maybe five. And you're going to look and say every single year in the history of Virginia, since it was America, didn't have
Yeah.
a limit, didn't have a closure of sea bass of any kind. It was open year round. From that point, 6 years ago on, it's always been open year round. And you're going to have to say it was political. And I'm not picking a team or not, but I'm going to give you the facts that there
Okay.
was a lot more bureaucracy. And you can see now how many government jobs are being taken away and put away because there's just a lot of actual waste and fraud going on, that there's too many. And I would actually agree that there's too many people's hand in the sea bass pot. There's just
Right.
too many people dipping into it. And you got to imagine
Because it's
it
a big
is a
money
big
maker.
money
We've
maker.
talked about it. It's a high price per
And what
pound.
they did was in trying to, and part of the green initiatives was closing and regulating and regulating and regulating and making it harder to catch fish and make a living. So they were using up north numbers against us down here. And they were saying since they're catching so many up there that there's got to be a shortage of fish because they're catching so many up there. And it doesn't say that you can use numbers any direction. You could say they're catching so many because there is so many. You know what I mean? You could
Right.
do that.
Right.
And if you catch too little, it's because oh, there's not enough. Or you catch too little because the weather was bad that day. There's a whole bunch of different reasons.
Yeah. So you were saying, several years back it used to be open and then some hands got in the pot and
Right.
where does that bring us to with these, sort of regulated closures?
So then they said there's a short, basically, while they're doing this everywhere with a lot of different things, they put so many regulations saying there's not enough sea bass. So then they made it where we're just going to close until, and then VMRC was famous for saying, until we know how many sea bass there is, we have to close it because they don't know how many there is. And to be honest, they're never going to know how many is because they could talk to old captains, new captains. They don't know who they're talking to to make it where they're not using any. Oh, the worst part is they don't use any of our VTR numbers, our charter captain numbers.
Hmm.
All the numbers that we have to submit, there's nothing that gets done with them every year. And we spend hours and hours doing it every year. And that's the worst part is we're the best form of information firsthand of what's going on in our fishery. We're not going to tell you we got a great fishery if there's nothing left because we're not going to be able to book trips because there's not people not catching fish.
Right.
So that's just the way that's going to work, and we put more respect to it that way. So back to the surface level. There's the ASMFC. Then they govern the sea bass after the feds put on, hey, we're going to have to make a slower reduction. And ASMFC says, you guys are all taking reduction. It says, no matter what, you need to
Got
come
it.
up with your plan. They make you make a plan. So once they make you make a plan, we are lumped in with Maryland and Delaware,
Okay.
who have and have had poor fisheries. So the fact that they've
For
had
sea bass.
right, right.
Yeah.
Where honestly they were getting them slower limits and they're letting them not even having like couple fish and they're not giving them a lot and they weren't and stuff like that. But so they all of us given the option to have a February season. You're all allowed to have one. Now, each state has to ask the AMFMC and say we're going to request the season. And they have to go to their councils and vote to request it or not. Well,
Got it.
Virginia didn't do that the first year and it hurt us real bad. Well, the next year we had them do it. And the next year, I think they closed it. I think they've closed it twice, I believe. But after that, they've left it open ever since. We went, made our battles and made our cases that you can't, if you want us to come back and be charters for the area, you had to open it up. And not to
Right.
mention, people need something to fish for. You
Right.
took away Striper, you mismanaged the Menhaden. You get, Striper don't go over to Carolina like they used to. That's just not magic. It's not the seasons. It's not the climate change. It's because you let them kill all the bunker.
Right.
But anyway, back to the surface level is so sea bass is they shut and they open and they make you beg them for a permit. You have to beg for this little permit, and then you catch the fish. And once you report, oh, you want to hear it. You do want to hear it. So
I want to
here's how a
understand.
daily here's how a
Yeah. How
daily
does it work?
here's how this special Virginia. So Virginia is the only state that asked for it,
Okay,
and
so of
so
Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, the states that are managed by the ASMFC, which is the Atlantic States
yep,
Marine Fisheries Commission,
yep,
and they get decisions handed to them from NOAA,
right,
right? And then they go to the VMRC and they ask for recommendations on how you're going to respond to these
right.
regulations, and then they get input from the Finfish Committee, which is like
Oh,
a special
another
committee.
FinFish committee, exactly. And they
Right.
get
So it's
information from the
several
FinFish
layers of
committee.
people. So it's like you got data traveling. It's like the telephone game, like, oh, there's going to be this many fish. And then they tell them there's going to be this many fish. And then, yeah. So I'm tracking now. So there's this like several layers where it kind of gets pushed down from, and then we have to respond and go push back up. And then Virginia is the only one that fought to get February opened where,
All you gotta do is request it. Any state doesn't even have to fight. All you have to do is ask for it. But then
okay.
they're gonna make you pay it back some way, somehow. And
Ah,
one year, Virginia, they shut us down in December. Remember that they canceled Christmas on us one year. Like, oh, they
right.
were like, oh, it's shut down on the 15th. Oh, guess what? No Christmas money, no New Year's money, no money to pop off to make it through January. You know what I mean? It was just like
Yeah.
just not announced. It was just poor decision making, man, without
Right.
thinking about who they're hurting. And I
Right.
just can't understand why they're doing it. It doesn't really make that much sense, but they said they had to
No.
do it. They had to do it. Well, they just figured out this year, guess what? We made a mistake. There's plenty of sea bass. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to allow 20% more because we had to raise our limits. We had to do all these different things. And speaking with a bunch of people and a bunch of charter captains and a bunch of even Skip Feller from the Rudy Headboats, I was suggesting we ask for at least February. The whole year should be open again because
Hmm.
you're going to go for bluefin in January. Nobody went for sea bass.
Right.
Everybody's
Not
bluefinning
when
so
bluefin
hard.
are swimming.
No, not a
You get
chance.
run over by a tuna boat if you're out there sea
Man,
bassing.
and not to mention just chasing them in the adrenaline. Everyone's got a boat was chasing bluefin. So then you got February, and then you got March, and you got Tog, and then you got April. Which guess what happens in April? You got inshore starts to happen. You got drum starting to happen. You got
Right.
sheep's head starting to happen. You got a lot more fisheries starting to
Right.
happen.
Yep.
And so people aren't doing that. And then guess what? You don't have that crunch, and then you can open it Man, at the least they should open it May 1st. Is probably what they're going to do, but they won't do that. They're going to do the May 15th move. Is my guess. My guess, and when I'm talking to a commissioner and everything, is they're going to do the keep it the same because I don't believe they should raise the limit. You shouldn't get any more, and you shouldn't have to catch
Right.
any smaller fish. You shouldn't be. We don't need to catch smaller fish. 13's doing all right. We're
Right.
seeing plenty of fish at that level. I mean, it would help and make it easier at 12, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if you just opened it for the year and did 13, 15, and then check the numbers out in a couple years, and guess what? We're going to be still over the top. So give us our sea bass year. You know what I mean? Let us have them at 12 where they were and make the limit 15 is fine and just open the year. But they'll have to do that with data, and they'll have
Right.
to do that with successful catch data. And you can't really have that with a blown out month like this and a freezing 10-degree month. It's an abnormally.
Right.
Yeah, that's what the word was.
Anomaly.
Abnormally.
Abnormally.
It's
An
abnormal. It's
abnormally.
abnormal, and it's definitely an anomaly.
It's an abnormal anomaly.
Yeah, I like
So
that. That's an alliteration there.
anomaly. I think that Webster should go put that in the dictionary and describe it as when Bill Pappas says something is extremely unusual, it's an anomaly.
And you knew exactly what I meant, dude. That
I
was the best
did.
part. I was
I
like,
did.
man, you even nodded like it was the right word.
So
Anyway,
I want to pause for just a second and just highlight the fact that obviously like we can hear the passion in your voice. And I
I'm
just want
trying
to
to call it
highlight
back.
for I want to highlight for the folks listening. It's like sometimes we forget like, oh, we're calling a charter and we think of like every business just has like money falling from the sky. And it's like, no, like when we say that fishing is your livelihood, it's literally your livelihood. And missing days on the water can be the difference of paying a bill or not. So that's why I just want folks to understand that when they hear the passion in your voice, that's where it's coming from.
Yeah, and sometimes I appreciate that, man. But I tell you, this is what I definitely wanted to say, and you were asking earlier too when we were talking before we started. There's a lot that goes into one day of going sea bass fishing even as a recreational fisherman. I think it's overregulated the way it is. I think we need to as a whole, I think we need to have no more reporting in February. We need to have no more reporting in February. We have no more special permit,
Hmm.
and unfortunately we need to not allow out of state boats to come in and catch fish in February at the same time we are. And because those catch numbers are used against us in the summer to pay back. We had to pay it back all these times for all these boats coming down. Now they have full head boats coming down here in Chickadeeg. They have full, 10-person boats that have been running out of Rudy Inlet for 3, 4 years, banging all the wrecks and out there, stuff vacuuming up the sea bass, making it tougher for us to catch. And that's because Maryland didn't ask for themselves to have a season. So Virginia said, hey, you
Mm,
know what? We have a Virginia resource. We're going to let other people catch and make a living off. And now I'm all for people making a living, but when it cuts into ours and it directly affects us, it's one of those things we have to pay back. So it doesn't make it fair when we pay back 15% each year, and
right.
we need to know as a public what percentage of that is not caught by Virginians. You know,
So,
We can't
okay,
catch striper in Maryland. We can't go
right,
to Maryland and catch
right.
striper.
So how does it work, not work the other way? So when you talk about the catch numbers having an impact on what the allowances are going to be, so are you saying they look at February and they look at those special permits and how many fish were caught, and then to balance the rest of the season, they make a reduction against the rest of the season based on what was caught in February.
Yep, they do. They choose a couple weeks to shut it down in the middle of summer to pay it back.
Got it. So essentially, if we have boats uh, that are not working out of Virginia, their residency is not in Virginia, and they come down into Virginia during that special February season,
Yeah, that's all it
catch and
is.
then
Yep.
leave, then we are sort of paying the price to put money in their pockets. And during the summer, during our normal season, when they're going to have their season up there, they're not coming down here during, July and August. They're staying
No,
up
they're
there.
not. Yeah, we don't go up there in July and then catch their fish.
Got
You
it.
know what I mean? But it's okay. It's okay to and they do that in Carolina for tuna and then the local captains feel a certain type of way about that.
Oh
Doesn't mean it's
yeah.
bad or good. Doesn't mean the economy's there, but they don't have enough boats to take the slips up. I guess that's the way it's going to be.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's business is business. But if the state allows it, I mean, how can you be mad at them for doing it when they're just trying to make a living? I get it from their point of view, but there's also our point of view. If we got to pay it back and we get penalized for the fish they're catching as well, then that's not going to be fair. Like I was going to say is here's a day of our in the life of a charter out of Virginia Beach. First thing you got to do is you book the trip. Just lucky enough to book a trip in February. The weather goes crazy, so you're lucky to get these guys in your trip or your booked trips on the day they actually pick to be fishable.
Right.
First, after all that happens, you get out there at 5:30 in the morning. You call the emergency line for Marine Police.
Okay.
Marine Police dispatch. Good morning, and you say, "Hey, I'm this Bill from Playing Hooky, and then here's my VMRC number." And then they take a while to look it all up, and they start asking you a few questions about your phone number, which inlet you're leaving out of, and you're driving a boat full of guests that have just gotten sat down. They're still associating themselves, drinking coffees. You want them to sit down, but no, you're talking to them in the morning before you can leave the inlet because you don't want to be out there beating yourselves around talking to anybody.
Right.
You can just
Right.
not going to be safe. So you
Right.
got to hurry up and get this call in. You get the call into the VMRC. Then you catch your fish, you come back, you had a rough day. It was,
Hmm.
half the boat was seasick maybe, or
Right.
just you had a tough day. They didn't bite. So you come back, you got 40 fish out of 90 you wanted to catch. You get back, you call them up, hey, I'm coming in. What time are you gonna be back? Which inlet are you gonna be back? How many did you catch? And you don't even know. You haven't even put
Right.
them on the dock yet or counted. So you estimate. You tell them this number,
Right.
and then you put them on the dock. You take a picture. Then at the end of the month, you go to the Virginia Saltwater Sportsman magazine, and you got to fill in how many sea bass you caught for each day that you fished. You got to refill it in again,
Oh, the saltwater
re-report it.
journal. Yep.
The
Just like
Saltwater
we used to
Journal
have to do for cobias. Yep.
do the same, which ended up not working either,
Hmm.
and you, which was proven, and so you and some people do the same thing. They don't call in or call out when they're going for sea
Right.
bass, and that's the way it goes. But the bottom line is, once you're done doing that, then for that trip, you have to, as a charter, you have to do your federal VTR. So you called it in and reported it. You've already went to the magazine and reported. Then you got to call. You got to sit there and go through the app for another 5 minutes and put in another report telling how many fish you caught, how far you fished, how many people fished with you, what did you use a rod and reel, which area did you fish? I mean, you got to go through all these little things three different
Wow.
times, and you know what they do with all of those numbers? Hurt us. There's nothing they do good with those. They don't use it to help the fisheries. They don't use it to make it better for us to be like, oh, you guys have, there's plenty of fish out there. You should have more fish. Nope, they got to wait for the feds to dole it out like candy on Halloween. Here you go, guys. You have a good Halloween this time, guys. Here's
Mm.
20% leeway. We're gonna shovel you out 20%. And what have VMRC posted or even got any public comment on? Nothing. They're just gonna handle it with the commissioners. No, we're gonna get ahead of that. We're
Mm.
gonna send an email in and try to hopefully our email will be read and we'll get it to the right people, but it's got to be done soon where we say, hey, listen, we would like this and here's the reasons why and we don't think this is fair and you guys need to make a better decision for Virginians, please.
Man, that is tough to process because at each layer of what you're describing, I can just feel and hear the sort of injustice and the what sounds to me like poorly informed decision makers who are either choosing to turn a blind eye and make decisions either anyways, or who are motivated by some other external motivation to make decisions a certain way. And I hate to say it, but it just feels like whenever we get into these conversations, whether it's Menhaden, striped bass, bluefin tuna, now sea bass is like it always just comes back down to money. Somebody
Yeah.
somewhere is making money under the table or closed fist or behind a closed door, whatever the case. Like somebody's being motivated by somebody, my money somewhere most of the time. That seems to lead towards decisions that just don't make sense. Or when we see things go sideways, like in a fishing tournament, and decisions need to be made, but because of money, it's just easier to turn a blind eye. We see this, and it's human nature, so how do we fight? How do we, as recreational anglers or other fellow charter captains, you've got experience fighting the good fight and getting results. Like, what are some practical things that we can do to help or take action to at least show that we care about making a positive change for the sea bass season in Virginia?
I'm not really good at pushing other people around, but I'm gonna tell you right now what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write a nice email. I'm gonna summarize it in one way, then I'm gonna send it to the charter captain group I'm part of, and I'm gonna say, "Hey guys, what do you think? Is it cool? What do you guys like?" And they already liked it so far, and I'll see if they're good with the last final copy, and then I'm gonna actually make the email, and I want it to go through the right people before they conveniently have an ice storm that blocks them off from a meeting that's really important, and then they just shuffle it to the back burner. So what the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a post on my socials and say, hey guys, I would like you guys to write if you get it, if you care enough, but you don't gotta, you can just read it along. But hey, either copy my email or send your own email or do whatever you want to do, but we need to have some more of these emails go across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get your email in there and saying what you think as well, because when you got the clamps on you and you can feel it, it's just
Yeah.
and the economy is bad, as tough as it is to make a living to begin with. Like, just
Oh yeah.
enough's enough. You know what I mean? Like, open sea bass, open. It used to be May 1st tile fish open, and then May 30, and then May 15th sea bass would open. So you go tile fish and catch a sea bass, and the sea bass would float around for 2 weeks because you couldn't keep them. So you know what I mean? So then so
Yeah.
then they were like, you know what? Let's open them on the same day. So then what did they do? They moved tile fish to the 15th and took away it. Oh, now we, instead of closing on the 1st of November, which should never close to begin with, the best month for blue line tile is January. One of the best months for blue line tile fish is during the February and January, which they closed it. They just capitulated to whatever they said because they were catching way too many commercial fish down to the south, and that's what happened. They did that
Wow.
because they reported all their catches, and they ended up just trying to take them away from us because they were regulating them. And then you got 8 for the charter or 7 for the charters or head boats, 5 for the charters, and then 3 for the wrecks. Like, that makes sense. I don't.
Sheesh,
I
man.
mean, I love all of it, all the boats and everything, but that just does not make sense. Like, how they get more? They have 60 people, they get to get 8, 7 fish, and you got 6 people, you only get 5. And if you have your boat stuffed full of 6 people, you only get 3. It's just, I don't get it, man. So I think there needs to be a couple adjustments, and now it include, if they're going to just pansy, take a shallow approach on this one, then they need to at least open sea bass on May 1st
Right.
with the blue line tile, and no more February reporting, and get rid of that whole program. You're causing the dispatcher a bunch of time and effort. You're causing us a bunch of time and effort.
Yep.
You're actually paying people to do this extra stuff and do all. It doesn't need it. It's a waste of funds.
Completely agree. I, I think the biggest thing that I heard you say that is resonating with me is like, when we think about, some of our missions here at, the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, protect what you pursue is one of our big missions. Be a steward of what you do, think about what you're doing. And it's about being an active, positive contributor to the community that you're in. So like if I know that going into my neighboring community and catching fish is going to hurt their community, which is basically my community, just in a different state, then
Yeah.
maybe just don't do it.
No, I can't fault them for doing it. If it was allowed and they needed, their state won't fight for them to do it. They won't show up to tell their state to fight. And it's just not, I mean, not everyone's going to have Wild one up there showing up for Seabass, and then the Menhaden flying across the bow, and I lit them up on Menhaden too because they were
Right.
there. I blew them up
Right.
on that just because that was wrong. How they're gonna be like, you can keep catching all the Menhaden you want. We don't know how many there are, but we don't know how many there are in Seabass. Shut it down. I was like, why don't you
Right.
shut down Menhaden and figure out how many there are?
Right.
You can do math is math. One equals
Yeah.
one. The other one should equal one, and that's just not the way it works
Right.
in the big picture, in the big scheme of things.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think there's got to be some form of equity where those that can make the decisions can step in and maybe still invite the neighboring community to come down, but like at least catalog what they catch separately and let it contribute to their state and adjust their state's summer or whatever,
Yeah, well,
however
they're
that might
getting
work.
okay. Well, they're getting 20 more percent, and they haven't been paying back a summer because they've always had it open. So what?
Got
And
it.
because they bite better up north in the summer, they'll bite because the water's colder up there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they'll go ahead and so why not just get them to have get their own February open? That's what they need to do and go do their
Yeah.
own thing, or just not use their numbers against us. Okay, come on down here
Right.
and duke it out with us, which is not that fun. It's just really not.
Yeah.
It's not how when when you see the big boats on the wrecks and you're like, oh man, that's the wreck I was going to be fishing on, or they're going, you just
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be out of there in time.
No doubt. Well, I think I have definitely learned a lot that I
We
didn't
covered some
understand
bets.
before. And again, it's just good to shine a light on this stuff and get people educated. Obviously, it's, middle of February. There's not a ton of fishing going on. So those of you who are listening and hoping to, learn how to catch a toadfish, I'm sorry we didn't cover that, but I think this was really important information for those that care about our community of charter guides and our fishery to understand how this stuff works. And hey, if you know somebody who's involved or has some clout or influence, like please get involved, reach out to Captain Bill and let him know that you might be able to help apply some pressure in a good way. So thank you for sharing your passion and your
You're
concern.
welcome. Even some
Um,
emails to the commission right here would help. Anybody goes to the VMRC, submits an email, and says they're in support of opening the Seabass from February on. Or even same thing, or put my name in there saying we support what he's saying. That'll be fine too. But I'm going to get
right,
in there and try to fight for us guys to get us to have a bigger season here. Because when you're catching tautog, why not in March when you're catching tautog and you're targeting tog and the tog are biting good, and
right,
you catch 5 or 10, 15 sea bass that ate your crab and you're already mad to begin with. Why not take them home and eat them? You're not going to
right,
target. You're not going to go bang your limit out of bass and then tog it up too and bang them out. It's just not going to happen unless you're putting extra time in or you got all these
right,
extra spots and you've
right.
been doing it for a while. It's just not going to happen like that for the average person. They're not going to go bang the fish like that. So why not let them have a sea bass or two here while they're togging? Why
I
not let them
completely
have a sea
agree.
bass while you're tile fishing? And then in April, there's going to be other things opening. You're going to start having other fisheries start to happen inshore and everywhere.
Yep,
It's a big difference.
absolutely,
Then there's something to fish
absolutely.
for.
Well, I hope you guys learned something there. I learned something. I want to again, let's get off the dock here. So we sat back on the dock and we leaned back into the chair and we got educated on some things that we might not have been educated on. So let's leave the dock, hop in the car, and drive on over to Troy Marine. We talked to Andrew Kaiser last week, and we got some education on some of the mechanics and outboards and maintenance. You mentioned earlier about missing Christmas one time. Well, Christmas could come in February for someone who's in the market for outboards, and why is that?
Well, I know one thing. We got a really strong pair of 300 Yamahas that run like a top. I got the four blades on there, and they'll do 61 on the dot, like it's 6100. Like they'll just run like you. And with the power, you haven't. I mean, I haven't had anything like that. 600 horses on that boat is plenty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the mileage, the gas mileage is incredible on those things, and they've been meticulously taken care of. I mean, every possible oil change, filter change, belts. You just name all the things that have been changed on that thing over and over and over. Water pumps, just everything is supposed to be changed. Just kept it up because we're a charter and we have a lot of safety, safety in mind
oh
for all
yeah,
of us. And we don't really dog the motor either because we got guests on the boat. You're not hot dogging with guests on the boat.
right.
But I mean, and the other thing is too is we run it at really good speeds and stuff like that. But we are selling our two 300s. We're gonna be selling those. We're gonna be selling those. They have the 3,500 hours in only 2 years, and they've had every oil change all the way up through it documented and all the other stuff, plugs, you name it. They run great. The thing is, we're also going to be throwing in an autopilot system. This autopilot
Ooh,
system it's the power pump.
uh-huh.
I think it's called a power pump where it does its own thing. It's
Yep.
it's Garmin auto. It's the Garmin 40, and we're throwing in the two helms, the 2.1 helms. One of them is adjustable, and we're gonna have all the steering cables that go with that. So basically, you're going to have a whole extra steering system, an extra two helms, an extra, $6,000 brand, a couple year old autopilot.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if you're
And
building a boat right now, or you're repowering right now,
yeah,
that's the whole system, minus
yeah.
your Garmin, plotters.
Upper and
Yeah,
lower. It's going to have your cables long enough to go, or your steering cables to go long enough to
all the
go
way up
all
to
the
the
way
second
upstairs.
station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
That's a big deal. And those when you go and price all that stuff out individually and buying every individual hose, every T fitting for the back of the helms, like all of a sudden, the price goes ting ching ching ching. So
yeah,
it's
we
a good deal.
we're definitely just trying to throw them in with the motors. That way, because the motors we're asking 41.5 for all the whole package. And I'm sure if somebody really wanted to get down to it, just wanted the motors, they already have autopilot, they don't need the steering and all that, then I'm sure there's going to be a better number for that. And I'll sell the other stuff separately and probably
Right.
get a little more than I would get as a set. But if I just
Right.
do it as a set, it's just an easy thing to
Oh
offer.
yeah.
And you're looking at 38 for the motors somewhere in there,
Yep.
and you got the other stuff getting thrown in and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, even 3,500 hours is not a number that scares me on 2-year-old motors, just because it's so much better to get motors that are being run consistently. 2-year-old motors with 212 hours, I'd be even more wary of, just because it's like, well, that's hardly been run. So how much idle time have they been sitting there, and maybe some corrosion building or VSTs clogging or whatever the case. So it's definitely good to know that they've got proper maintenance. But let's talk about what you're doing to the boat, because Andrew
um,
kind of teased it last week that he's trying so hard to convince you to do the wireless joystick for Helmmaster, which is, we talked about it a ton and all the incredible capabilities of it. So I'm curious, like, are you still on the fence?
dude, there was no fence, dude. There's no fence. I just, as soon as we're sitting there building the project we're building, right? We're getting down to the last nitty gritty of these two white Yamaha 350s and the dates and the boat coming up to them and pulling the other motors off and stuff like that. Even had a guy lined up to buy the other two motors that, you talk with friends and, when it comes to business, man, you gotta make your business moves first, and it doesn't always work out. So
Right.
that's why the motors went up here the last couple of weeks to put them up. And so yeah, when it came to talking me into that, there's nothing worth talking in.
You're like, I gotta
He
have it.
just said
I gotta have
it
it.
was like this. It was like, okay, why would I want? First, I wanted two joysticks. Now, why would I want a joystick up top? And for me personally, it was because I fish up top. When I see bass fish, I can see all the lines, and that's my view to film, and it's just what I'm used to doing.
Yeah.
It's way easier to run the boat when you can see all six positions with a few steps instead of being downstairs where you got to look around and you can't see which way
Right.
the lines are going, and you can protect the motors. That's the main thing, is I'm up there protecting the motors from the lines going in the motors
Yep.
while you're holding that boat in reverse.
Brilliant.
Well, the new boat's gonna have remote controls where when it's really, really cold, I can just go inside, lock us on a wreck, hit the button, and hit the thing, and run outside and fish with the guys, hang out, do whatever, talk stories. But I can watch the motors from downstairs, or I can still go upstairs and watch it hit. I was gonna hit a joystick, but since they just came out with this new handheld, it's like a remote control, like on the old spot lock where you got a remote control on it. Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have the same thing where I could walk around the boat with a remote control, and during sword fishing, I can slide over on the drift or even on the Seabass wreck I were togging. Even, man, I hate to say it, but I've got some tautog wrecks that I know some very good spots to fish on the wreck, and you can't always get to the best spot on that wreck to fish it. And when
Yeah.
I can actually move my joystick around, what I haven't, can we used to use anchor tricks, and you put the anchor here, the anchor there, you pull it on there, and there's
You're gonna
three
be
anchors and two anchors, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do. But to be
big old
honest,
mess. Yeah.
this is gonna be some different stuff for playing hooky, and I've got a lot of spots I've put in my maps over the years that I haven't even stopped at. I've never even fished because they're too small, and they don't know if they exist. But if some of them do, there should be some the ground shaking for playing hooky again, like it used to.
Dude.
But you know what? We Tautog's cool and all, and I've passed a lot of the charters for blackfish from the guys up north and stuff like, because they want to take our boat and they want to take it togging. And I get it, but
Ah,
I say, hey, there's Bradley Gray on the wreck dog, there's Sean Shapiro on See Me, and there's guys that do that right now, and I made sure to send them right over to them, and tell them I sent you,
yeah.
stuff like that, just to pass on some business. But we're not doing that yet until we have the spot locks, and then you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go play first, and then we're gonna go. You'll get the call. You'll get the
Yep.
call. We'll pat you down with a metal detector. We'll get your phone put in the Faraday bag and everything else, and then off you go. You're going with us, dude. You
Yep.
go jogging with us. I'll take you. I'll take you when we find some jackpot. We used to call this one spot. It was called it was not Togzilla. There was one. It was Japan. We call that one Japan for that's where Togzilla lived.
Togzilla.
Yeah, and then the other one was it was Studville. Yeah, Kenny Davis will know that. But we used to call it
Studville.
Studville because it was a wreck that got covered over by sand and shells. And the only thing left on that thing was one little spike, and it had like a million dogs on it. So every time we'd go there, it was like we'd fish all these other wrecks, and at the end of the day, we'd stop there and get our nice ones, or
Yeah.
we'd catch a couple, throw them back, but it was always like, at the end of the day, we didn't really want to go there and blast it right off the bat, and you have to save something, a grand finale. So
Yeah.
that was the move, man. Studville till it got known by other boats and it got cleaned out pretty hard. And I don't, I don't even go there just because how much I loved it and
Yeah.
how bad it got smoked that I just it broke my heart. You know what I
Oh,
mean? So I just kind of stayed. I just kind of haven't been there in years. I kind of need to go there just once just to see what's going on with it. I miss it.
yep.
Good old
Yep.
Studville, Kenny, if you're listening.
Yeah, man. Well, man, as we wrap up tonight, I mean, I've really enjoyed this. I always enjoy our conversations because I always learn something. We always have fun. And
Yeah.
we always end up saying something that we're like, ooh, should we have said that? Which is kind of fun. Keeps everybody on edge.
Tickle your pods.
Like when you talk about the pods. Same thing. But hey,
Dude, that's hilarious.
if folks are like, man, I got to get out there and go for some sea bass with you, or they want to start planning their next offshore, I don't know if you're going to be doing spring tuna or tautog, or if they want to start planning their summer cobia or redfish trip, or if they're like, man, I really want to get involved with some of this, regulation stuff, and I want to help out, or if they're like, man, that price and those motors and that autopilot and those cables and those helms, especially tilt helm. Tilt helm is a big deal.
It's
Uh,
huge.
what do they got to do to get in touch with you, to book a trip, talk to you about the regulations, or buy some motors? What's the best way they can touch base with you?
Easiest way is give me a call at 757-619-3530 or go to planhookeycharters.com. There's no G in it. It's just PLAYINHOOKEY. Charters was regular spelling, and the KEY is from Key West from back in the day.
Nice. And that old boat that you and Matt used to run
That's
around
right.
on and sail it in there for buyers to pick
God,
you up.
sailing it, dude. That is the way, man. But yeah, man, thanks for getting us out there and getting our word out there. And
You
yeah, man,
bet.
it's gonna be a good time. Good time selling the motors when they go. And it'll be some good fishing here coming up. And looking forward to it, man. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely. Always. Folks, you heard it here. Give him a shout. Check him out online. Follow his adventures. He's always doing something fun. Always something cool to watch, a video, a reel. So definitely pay attention to him. I hope you guys enjoyed that this week. We kind of got a lot of information in there for you. So I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. I sure did. Till next week, y'all be safe out there. Make sure you check your safety gear, your fuel, all that good stuff. And tight lines to you. We'll be in touch real soon.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Black Buffalo products are intended for adults age 21 and older who are consumers of nicotine or tobacco.
If you're 21 or older and use nicotine or tobacco, it's time you charge ahead to Black Buffalo, America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo dips just like the real thing, but without the tobacco leaf or stem. Get it now at Wawa, Circle K, Sheetz, Love's, Pilot, Racetrack, and many more that you can see on their store locator at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Tobacco Alternative is everything you love about dip, nothing you don't. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.